What's up, Undisputed listeners? It's your boy, Sharpe. I wanted to tell you about my new podcast, Club Shay, where we always do something before two something. Each week, I sit down with a guest for a drink and conversation, and as host and proprietor of Club Shay, I've welcomed in esteemed guests such as Snoop Dogg, Floyd Money Mayweather, LeVar Ball, Isaiah Thomas, just to mention a few. Whether I'm talking to an athlete, a musician, an actor, or a lifelong friend, Club Shay is a place where people share inspiring and motivational stories about their journeys to prominence. The new episode drops every Monday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe to Club Shay now and make sure you never miss a new episode. Now back to Undisputed.
Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. We've got a busy slate, so skip Shannon. Let's get to it. Welcome to Undisputed. We are live from LA. I'm Jenny Taft here with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe. Good morning over there.
Good morning. I'm famous. I was trending yesterday. I was trending.
Today, right?
You saw me trending, Skip.
I didn't know you and Tom Brady were so close.
Got your boy.
Really?
I appreciate that, Tom. Got your boy trending.
I think he's saying that you're his favorite commentator on TV.
That what he was saying? That what he was
Really?
saying? That
You
what he
guys
was
are
saying?
tight.
Yeah, that's what he's saying.
Yeah.
He said, I love the way you put that thing down. You break it down in terms that everybody can understand.
Congratulations.
I didn't know you were gonna be happy about it. I didn't know you were going to be happy about it. Okay, so yes, Tom Brady did post something yesterday, and I cannot wait for their response because he is not letting his critics off the hook. He posted, as we mentioned, a minute-long video on social media yesterday of everything from talk shows to newspaper clippings from people who doubted him this season. And get this, yes, it was led off with Shannon as the very first media voice on the video saying Tom has not been good this year. Brady captioned the video on Instagram, quote, I kept the receipts, never let them define you. And on Twitter, he wrote, I love talk radio. So Shannon, please, what is your response to Mr. Tom Brady?
Yeah, I thought Tom didn't listen to stuff like that. He ain't paying no attention to Shannon Sharpe. That's what you told me.
I never said that.
But hey, Tom, I appreciate that, man. You or somebody you know listening to the show. I appreciate that. Keep that thing going for your boy, me and Skip. We like that, don't we, Skip? Okay, I appreciate that.
Love it.
Look, Skip, it's natural for athletes to use criticism or negative things that's said about them to fuel them. Skip, every athlete, it's hard for me to imagine that some athlete at some point in time didn't face some level of criticism. For me, it was like, oh, you're not going anywhere. You're going to be here at Glenville. You're going to be working in the fields. And if you do go to college, you ain't going to be the best because somebody's going to be better than you. And if you, Savannah State, oh, man, he ain't going to no NFL from no Savannah State. So, Skip, I've had criticism all along the way. But what Tom did, see, I like to do context. Because a lot of times when I say things about people, Skip, I go back and I listen to the show. And because I want to make sure, because I don't want people to think I'm ever malicious or I have any ill intent to when I say things. So I go back and I listen. Okay, did I provide the right context? Did I provide what that the viewer needed to hear for me, what I was saying? Do they get a great understanding? Now, when Tom played the clip that he played, mind you now, it was after the Rams game. I said what I said after the Rams game. A few games earlier, Skip, he had played a terrible Sunday night game. So at the time that I said what I said, Tom Brady at the time was 24th in completion percentage. He had thrown the 5th most interceptions in the league. He was 17th in passer rating. He had lost 38-3 to the Saints. And guess what he did, Skip, on that thing that was a Thursday night game? What you saying? What? So I thought what I was saying was very fair at the time of I'm saying it.
Yep.
So for me, I have no problems with Tom using what I said and some of the other guys' voices that he used in there. I have no problem. But he ain't post that after the Bears lost. Why didn't he say something after the Bears lost?
Was that the Super Bowl?
Whoa!
No.
So in other words, at the end of the day, you get to say all this. But at the time that I said it, I was correct. Correct? Thank you, Skip Bayless. So, look, I have no problem with that.
Oh, you're saying you were correct about Tom Brady?
No, I was, Skip, at the time, The number says, yes, Tom Brady hadn't played well. Tom Brady started playing better. The defense started playing better, and ultimately they reached their ultimate destination, and they won. I have no problem with Tom using me for fuel. I have no problems with what I said. I stand by what I said at the time because I believe it was correct.
Okay.
But Tom, I really appreciate that, though, bro. You got your boy famous.
Speaking of appreciating, I want to take this opportunity to publicly thank you for your relentless criticism and skepticism when it comes to Tom Brady. Because it didn't just happen after the Rams game, or just not after that second Saints game, mid-season at 6-2.
Right.
Or after that fateful Bears game, the Thor game. He was predicting how many playoff games he was about to win.
That's what he predicted. You told me
I'm going to win 4 playoff games.
You told me he was concussed.
Yep, he was concussed, but he was predicting. It was coming out of his psyche that he was going to go on the road and win 3 playoff games, and then he was going to go home and win a Super Bowl, which he did against... How did he do that? Breeze and Rodgers and Mahomes. Anyway, we know all that. The reason I want to thank you is that I've told you for the 5 years we've been together, there's just this one guy in sports I don't bet against. And I tried to warn you repeatedly, but I must admit that I actually hugely and quietly appreciated every last word that came out of your mouth about Brady, because I know how he's built. He shatters the mold. He is the ultimate wolf in sheep's clothing. And he's in sheep's clothing, and he's hard to figure because at a glance, off the field, he's that nerdy, corny dad next door. On social media, most of his posts, I'm like, what are you doing? What are you thinking?
Yes.
But game time, big game time, fourth quarter time, when his button gets pushed and he starts thinking about what the great Shannon Sharpe has relentlessly said about him. And remember, you led off the media criticism because you're in the Hall of Fame. So he's going to value your criticism more than anybody else's criticism because the rest are just a bunch of guys. But this is Shannon Sharpe. There was one little clip thrown in later about another contributor to this show who's also in the Hall of Fame, and that's our man Eric Dickerson, who has constantly called Tom Brady an old-ass man. Yeah. But Eric never shreds him and just says he shouldn't be playing. He's just saying most people at 43, they're just an old-ass man.
And for football terms, he is an extremely old man.
Okay, I got it. But there's one guy who needs you especially. He needs you above all to doubt him, to condemn him, to write him off, because the more you do that, the more his button gets pushed by you. And trust me, he's thinking about you during games. Shannon Sharpe said, I'm washed up. Shannon Sharpe has said for 4 straight years, I should go home and stay home because I'm done. I'm in decline, and he knows this all too well. He's not going to acknowledge it publicly during the year. He's never going to fire back at you on some Tuesday after the Rams game.
He just put me this 1 minute video, so he finally acknowledged it.
He finally did. But that's because he's now in 7th heaven, right? He did it. He pulled that off. Yes. I thought it was, we could argue this all day, I thought it was the single greatest run to a Super Bowl ever. You could poke holes in that, but again, he went to Washington against the number 2 ranked defense, to New Orleans number 4 ranked defense, to Green Bay number 9 ranked defense, and obviously Breeze, Rodgers, Mahomes.
You know what, Skip? You can make that case that this was his toughest battle, but he went to battle with his best soldiers.
Okay, well, he did. There's no doubt. That was... Now, he didn't have Belichick. I don't think he needed Belichick, which is why we went back and forth, the general. But he didn't need that general because he was at least 75% of the New England dynasty to me. You argued it was Belichick was 75%, and I think Brady has proven once and for all that he was 75, if not 80.
Well, here's the thing, Skip. Now, Coach Belichick does get a chance to answer. Now, Coach Belichick's going to have to put together a winning team, get to a Super Bowl and win, and then we'll have another discussion.
Okay.
But if he's unable,
he's got to find a quarterback.
Right. But if he's unable to do that, Skip, now you're going to have more people in your camp that says, yeah, you're right, Skip. He's 75% Coach Belichick. You might, but by the time in 2 years, there might be 90 to 10.
Okay. So, to my eyes, as I kept telling you, I could see no decline in arm ability, in velocity. You saw some decline, you thought, the last 2 years in New England, where you thought he was flinching under fire.
Yes.
Where he had lost a little bit of foot quickness in the pocket, where he had lost a little bit of release quickness. So it was everything was a little bit slower and a little less accurate.
I thought, Skip, what I saw is that I saw a guy that all of a sudden he started to blink in the face of the rush. And so when you start to lose your nerve in that sport, it's probably time to step aside.
Okay, and yet I thought he was flinching because, A, he's not going to take a quote-unquote kill shot. He's just not going to do it. When you're 41 and 42, you're just not going to do it because you're smarter than that. If, in fact, you want to play until 45, you better take none of those right in the chops because you better just duck and cover.
You better not take any of those anywhere.
Not anywhere, as you well know better than anybody. Yeah. Well, his receivers were last in the league in separation in New England. So his offensive line was average. So he has average protection. This year he had top drawer protection. Yes. And it's mostly because Tristan Wirfs just sort of, as a rookie, he turned into, I don't know if there's a better right tackle in football. No. And Donovan Smith was better than average. He stood up to the test. And once they got Ali Marpet back, all of a sudden, he is getting protected. But by the time they got to the Super Bowl, he was also getting rid of the ball faster than he had in any game all year.
Right.
He figured it out. But he had receivers this year who could separate.
Right.
At the snap, they could separate. AB could get a step instantly.
Repeat what you just said. You said the Super Bowl, he got rid of the ball faster than at any point in time during the season.
Yep.
So what did that tell you? He was anticipating them coming with pressure.
Okay.
And so they's like, whatever you come with, Kansas City, we ready for you.
Okay, he did, but he also trusted every receiver could get a step. If he needed Mike Evans to even get a jump ball, get a step. And he knew that even Scotty Miller, he's underrated. He can fly, and he can get by a Kevin King when you most need him to. Touchdown at the buzzer of halftime that basically won that game at Lambeau, right?
Yes.
Okay, so he had weapons that he never had over the last 3 years in New England.
He never had this many weapons at one particular time at any point in time.
Okay, so I also told you that his greatest achievement, to my eye, was his final year in New England because they stayed afloat and teetered and stayed afloat, and they got all the way to that last home game. And I kept telling you, Shannon, do you see what he just did against a Miami team that was starting to come of age, that had 2 or 3 big wins down the stretch? One was over the Eagles late at Miami, where I was dumbfounded, and it got my Cowboys back in the mix in the East, right? Yeah. It gave them a chance, the Cowboys, to go to Philly for that last game. Dak had a bum shoulder, but they stunk.
Right.
And they lost 17-9. Remember that? Okay. But it was only because of Miami that they got there. So the point was, Miami's at New England. It's a rivalry game, obviously. But this is it. They've got the 2 seed in the palms of their hand because Brady drove them, I think it was 70 yards in 12 plays, touchdown with 2 minutes to go, and they're up 14-10. 14-10, it's like the Eli Super Bowl, where Miami doesn't just need a field goal. They have to go score a touchdown against Belichick's defense. Right. And Fitzmagic goes 83 yards in 13 plays to score a last-second, 5 seconds left, touchdown to Gesicki, a 5-yard pass to Gesicki, that wins the game 17-14 and knocks them out of the 2 seed. If Brady had lifted that team to the 2 seed and the cupboard was just about bare, that, to me, that was his greatest achievement. But he just needed the defense to stand tall one last time.
Well, if you don't mind me asking, Skip, where was the video from 2019? Because I was just as critical about Brady in 2019 as I was in 2020. So where was the video montage of what the things that I said about him then? Okay. He didn't win the Super Bowl. So it wasn't like I was saying something that was really off base. Okay. It's that he got the final. I got no problem with that, Skip.
What is different this year? Tom Brady
won.
No. He's not under Coach Belichick anymore. This is the new Tom Brady. This is the social media poster Tom Brady, right?
Yeah.
Okay, because he didn't have any quote-unquote fun under Belichick because you had to observe the Patriot way, the Belichick way. Right. You had to be good soldiers who said and did very little.
But I've also seen, Skip, I think he's trying to build a brand on social media.
He is. But now he's having fun because Guess who's in charge of this franchise? That guy is.
But hold on, Skip. Hold on. Wait a minute. Tom Brady for 20 years told me winning was fun. So is it because he's winning or because he's from under Coach Belichick?
Okay, well, I think they were winning, which is fun, but he never had that much fun winning. The process was hard.
Well, I guess it could be 2 for 1. He could be they're winning, and he also could be under the iron thumb of Coach Belichick.
That is correct.
So 2 things can be true.
Okay, but now he's not under the iron thumb. He's playing for no risk it, no biscuit. Let's go play 9 holes of golf after practice. Bruce Arians. Not that Tom's going to go play 9 holes.
Well, he would go. And here's a guy, not only would B.A. play 9 holes with him, B.A. will go drinking with him.
He will go
Coach Belichick was doing none of that.
Nothing. And Bruce Arians is basically in awe of him. And I still say Coach Arians just went along for the greatest ride of his career. And it was mostly because of that guy's leadership.
Well, sometimes, Skip, you just have to know how to get out of the way. If you got a self-driving car, don't you overcompensate. Okay. And that's what B.A. did. B.A. like, hold on, wait a minute. I'm trying to tell him this and tell that and do this and that. Let him do it.
Yep.
Let him talk to the defense and tell them certain things. I had Ndamukong Suh on my podcast yesterday, Skip. It's going to be very, you're going to find it. I was like, you know what? I'm going to have that cut because I ain't going to have him waxing poetically about Tom Brady. I'm going to have that cut out. Ndamukong Suh.
Wait, you're editing a podcast?
Yeah, I'm editing it.
You have final say?
Yeah, I got final. It's my podcast.
Really?
Club yes, I got final say.
Well, then it has no credibility. You're cutting out all the good stuff, right?
You know what's good? No, I'm not gonna cut it out.
Did he wax poetic?
He did.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
did you see the quotes from LaShawn McCoy waxing poetic yesterday?
I did.
Where he's saying that guy was the Terminator. He just got more and more intense the closer they got to the Super Bowl. And his drive and his leadership just lifted everybody up, including, he said, the coaches were sort of walking in fear of him at practice because they were trying to live up to his standards.
Well, Sue told a story about before the Super Bowl, how he gave the speech and how after it was done, you could tell something special was going to happen.
That was that?
Yeah.
Okay. That's that guy. That's what he brought to New England, and he took his talents to South Tampa Bay Beach.
Florida.
Yeah, Central Florida, and here they went. So my point is that as bad as the Saints game was, you're welcome to criticize. As bad as the Rams game was, have at it. I just sat over here and said, okay, but he will have the last laugh.
Right.
And the last laugh was, Pro Football Focus says for the whole season, the whole body of work, they graded him second best quarterback to Aaron Rodgers and two rungs ahead of Patrick Mahomes. And then for the whole playoff run, now they had 4 games to a lot of other teams, fewer games, obviously, but in his 4 playoff games, he was graded number 1 overall of any quarterback who played in the playoffs. He also led the whole National Football League in 20-plus yard completions in the regular season and in the postseason. Well, that's extraordinary. So I don't see any loss of arm talent. Obviously, he doesn't think he has any loss of arm talent.
Right.
That's what Arians, Todd Light said as soon as they signed him at the all-time bargain basement bonus of remember, it was only $25 million for each year.
Right.
And they're like, we don't see any decline. Well, I didn't either. So are you ready to say you didn't see any decline?
For me, Skip, I just want to address this. I have no problem, but I feel I was correct. At the time of me saying what I said, I was correct in saying it. He's making it seem like I just made this up, like he was playing like what we saw down the stretch. He was playing like that for the entirety of the season. Well, if he was playing like that during the entirety of the season, Skip, I would have never had any reason. I mean, even when Aaron Rodgers didn't play good, and I said it, Skip, he didn't play well in Tampa. I also said in the championship game, Skip, in the big moments, Aaron Rodgers didn't play well. He's got to win that game. You get it at the 8-yard line. You got to get the team into the end zone.
First and goal.
Right. So I like to think that, Skip, I'm very fair in my assessment of when I grade a player. I understand, like you said, I'm not just anybody just sitting up here bloviating. I'm Shannon Sharpe. I'm credentialed. I've got Super Bowls on my resume. I have a gold jacket on my resume.
You are 3-0 in Super
yes.
Bowls.
So I understand that, Skip. So I'm very mindful. I do my homework. I go over it again, and I make sure all the punctuation is correct.
Okay.
I feel very comfortable. And when I said what I said about Tom Brady, I stand by that. Tom, you are correct. You get to have the last laugh. And the man that laughs last laughs loudest because he's the only one laughing at the end so he can be heard. Congratulations. But I don't take back anything that I said.
Okay. So are you standing by your observations that he has declined overall?
Skip, I think the thing is, I do believe that he's declined, but I believe you see less of a decline because he has more great things around him. And that's what we're seeing, Skip. Sometimes people can be, how do I want to say this? When you look at Tom and you look at what was around him, everybody thought he was declining somewhat because why, Skip? You said his receivers couldn't get any separation. He had tight ends that still, if you didn't live in New England, you didn't know who they were. And you didn't know who they were even if you lived in New England, if you didn't play on the team. Now he has guys that can make plays for him. You see what we see looks like he's reinvigorated, rejuvenated. So I do believe there's some decline, but it's less noticeable because he has so many good things around him.
Are you suggesting that any one of a dozen quarterbacks could have done the same thing with that?
Not a dozen. Skip, maybe none could have done it because I don't know how many comes with the credentials. He walks into it. He's the only one that could walk into a locker room and throw 6 Super Bowl rings on the table. Who else can do that? Who else can say, I've gone to 9 Super Bowls? Who else can say, I've been to 12, 13 AFC championship games? So he comes in with credibility. Although Aaron Rodgers is accomplished, Pat Mahomes is accomplished, Drew Brees is accomplished.
Yep.
They're not as accomplished as him. And the one thing, Skip, and it's going to be when you see, the one thing that I took from Ndamukong Suh, he says, as accomplished as Tom Brady is, he's an ordinary Joe in the locker room. You would never know he had accomplished what he had accomplished by just walking by him and then talking to him.
That is the beauty of that man.
Yes.
That's why he works so well in the locker room, because he'll just go up and introduce himself to the 53rd guy or any newcomer like, hi, I'm Tom.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I know you're Tom.
And I think the biggest thing that helped Tom Brady become Tom Brady was being drafted in the 6th round, Skip, because he had to fight and claw. So he was with other guys that was less fortunate as far as, Skip, where they were drafted.
Yeah.
You come in as the #1 pick in the draft, Skip, you already did me. Did my team here, cool. I ain't going nowhere. Tom Brady's like, man, hey, we got to work. So he's working his tail off. And so he's like, I can't put myself in front of anybody else. In order for this thing to be successful, I need to be on their level. I need to make them think, even though, Skip, look, we understand the quarterback is the most important piece of the puzzle, but he's like, hey, I might be the most important piece, I might be the last piece, but if I can make these guys, if I can convince these guys we're all important pieces, and they're just as important as I am, they'll buy in. Okay. And that's what you get with this guy.
Okay. So I hereby formally request the Tampa Bay Buccaneers franchise, starting with the Glazer family, the ownership, Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr., somebody needs to get you a game ball from the Super Bowl because you deserve a game ball for that achievement in the Super Bowl.
I would prefer if B.A. or somebody from there came on the show. How about that?
Okay, but you deserve for your mantle because you've got other game balls from other big games, right?
So I deserve a Super Bowl ball because I helped this.
You inspired that road run to a Super Bowl, and he showed you that. He paid you that respect. He kept the receipt. That's what he said. I kept my Shannon Sharpe receipt. Well, he owes you a game ball.
First of all, he don't know nothing about no receipts. I want to know who told Tom Brady about some receipts. He don't know nothing about no receipts.
Oh, you don't think he can?
Yeah, you don't know nothing about no.
He's talking about mental receipts.
I know what he's talking about.
I love it. I love when I was watching this last night. I'm like, oh my gosh, Shannon, you're first. That's saying something. That's a little respect there. He heard you. He responded. I loved it. No mercy. Hey, Undisputed listeners, I wanted to tell you about our brand new Fox Sports app and website, foxsports.com. Reimagined for the modern sports fan. Go ahead, download the new app right now. You don't even have to pause this episode. Every day on the new app and website, you'll see the top stories in sports, plus a rich world of written content, videos, social media, and analytics to give you a 360-degree view of the most important stories of the day. Streaming live TV has never been so easy or elegant. Every Fox Sports game, including all pregame and postgame shows, are just one click away. For the extra invested fan, we also go deep with real-time wagering lines, trending prop bets, win probability, and key player projections. Download the new Fox Sports app or visit www.foxsports.com.
No mercy.
Hey, Undisputed listeners, it's Charlotte Wilder here to tell you about my new podcast with Mark Titus called the People Sports Podcast. It comes out every Thursday, and Mark and I take one of the big stories of the week, and then we go off on tangents you never saw coming. This might mean that we start talking about the Dodgers winning the World Series and end up wondering if Knicks fans deserve happiness. Or begin with LeBron's greatness and end up drafting our ultimate beer league softball team made up of old athletes. Whatever it is, the only rule of the show is that it has to be fun and funny, because these days we could all use as many laughs as we can get. So check it out wherever you get your podcasts and come down weird sports rabbit holes with us. We can't wait to have you.
No mercy.
Tim Tebow is giving up his baseball dream. After 5 years in the Mets minor league system, Tebow announced his retirement yesterday and in a statement said, quote, "I loved every minute of the journey, but at this time I feel called in other directions." He finished with a .223 average and 18 home runs in the minors. So, Shannon, was Tebow's baseball career a success or a failure?
I don't see how you say it was a success. He said his goal was to make it to the majors. He did not make it to the majors. So in that aspect, it was a failure. And plus, the thing is that, did he have fun? A lot of times people are like, well, he's having fun, so you can't be a failure. He didn't say his job was he didn't want to have fun. He said, I want to make it to the majors. It was a tall task. Skip, I believe Tim Tebow could have been a Major League Baseball player had he devoted the time to baseball like he devoted to football. But that's
a fair statement.
Skip, yeah. That's a tall task to ask. We were talking about this, Skip, the other day about LeBron. Skip, I'm not saying LeBron couldn't have made it to the NFL. If he'd have devoted the time to football like he's devoted to basketball, I believe he could have. My pushback came, he's going to be away from the game for 10 years, and all of a sudden say, you know what, I'm just going to go out here with no training. So basically, he's going to go out there just cold and make it. And that's what Tim Tebow was trying to do, Skip. The guy has been away from the game. Now, they told me, everybody keeps telling me, Shannon, the hardest thing to do in professional sport is to hit a baseball. So you mean to tell me the hardest...
Do you not agree?
No, I'm just, Skip, yeah. I'm going to be 1,000 with you. I've never tried to hit one because I already know my temper. You hit me, I hit a home run. You hit me, then I'm going to be mad at you and I'm going to have to do something bad to you. So I just ran track, didn't have to worry about that,
yep.
Skip. So for me, if the hardest thing to do is to hit a baseball, you mean to tell me a man that hasn't played that sport in a decade can come off the streets? So then I was going to say everybody that ever told me that baseball is the hardest sport is a lie. Because there ain't no way a man should be able to walk off the street and do the hardest thing there is to do in professional sports. So for me, Skip, I mean, and the Mets did everything they could, Skip. They tried to keep him afloat. Skip, he hit 163 in AAA. He had .223 average in the minor league for his career. Batted 151 in 4 spring trainings in major league competition. Skip, how many guys going to get an opportunity? You hit 151 in 4 spring trainings, they going to keep inviting you back? You know he got opportunities because he was Tim Tebow. But even that, at the end of the day, that's the thing I love about sports. Because sports don't care anything about your name. The cameras don't care anything. Can you do the job? Can you catch? Can you shoot it? Can you drop your hips? Can you defend? Can you hit the baseball? And he couldn't do it with enough success. Because think about it, Skip, all you got to do is be successful 3 out of 10 times. Hell, if I catch 3 out of 10 passes, I'm going to be up out the league. If I make 3 out of 10 shots, I'm going to be up out of the league, unless they threes. So, no, Skip, it was a failure. It was a failure. It was a failure. There's no other way around it because his goal was not to go to AAA. It was not to go to win a league ball. His goal was to be, when they start late March, early April, and when they trot out there to Shea Stadium, whatever, the Met Stadium or whatever it is now, Skip, he wanted to be able to run out there on the field, and that's not going to happen now.
By the way, I do believe hitting a baseball is the hardest thing to do in all sports, and I was a pretty good high school baseball player and a pretty good hitter, and I made all-region after my senior year, and I was pretty good, but I hit like 350 or whatever it was my senior year. And that was like a huge achievement for me because it is hard. It does not get any easier. You feel overmatched more than half the time.
Do you believe, okay, you played high school ball. Do you believe you could have took 10 years off so it come back at 27 and make it to the majors?
No, because they asked me to come out my freshman year at Vanderbilt because I was on full scholarship. Right. And I walked over and watched them the first day, and I said, there's no way. Like, school was going to be hard enough just to stay in class at Vanderbilt. Anyway, but the point is, you're right. Tim actually took 11 years between, because remember, he played his junior year of high school. Right. And by all accounts, he was pretty good. Yeah. He made all conference or whatever. I don't think he made all state, but his junior year, he's pretty good. Maybe he did make all state, but he had a future in baseball to play college baseball. Right. And then he stopped because he concentrated on football only his senior year. Right. And then he waited until he was 28 years of age to try it again. Yeah. Why did he try it? I don't know Tim that well, but we were about to start Undisputed that sort of summer of 2016. Correct. So he had a showcase out here in Los Angeles at USC, and I think it's called Dedeaux Field, Rod Dedeaux Field. Beautiful place. And it was just him and 40 scouts, however many. Right. And I went, Joy Taylor went, we just went, and a lot of media people went to watch him demonstrate his skills at age 28. What could he do? He ran a 40, he did this and that. Right. Okay, so the point was I caught him afterward and talked to him about it. And he was pretty sad about it. And his point to me was, I had my football dream yanked out from under me because I thought I was pretty good. I'm paraphrasing what he said, but this was his message to me. I thought I was pretty good. And I thought I had a pretty good run in Denver, and then I never really got a shot to win a starting job thereafter. Right. And I agree. I don't know exactly what happened, but as we all remember, 2011, John Elway and John Fox took over after he was drafted by Josh McDaniels the year before. Josh got fired even before the year was finished, as you know better than anybody. And Tim had a nice finish to that rookie year because he had 3 big games at the end of it for a bad team. Right. Because he ended up throwing for 300 yards, I think, the last game against the Houston Texans. He did. And he brought them back from behind at halftime to pull it. He had a last-ditch drive to win the game. Yep. So you could see the potential. But Elway and Fox wanted to go a different direction. He wasn't their cup of tea. I got it. And they started with Kyle Orton for the first 5 games, and they fell to 1-4. And they had a game at Miami, and they said, okay, let's just throw him into the fire and get this over with. Because if he stinks it up, then we can go on and say we tried. And you know the rest of the story. They won in overtime at Miami, and they were off to the races. And they won the division, and they beat Ben Roethlisberger in overtime in the first playoff game. Fastest overtime in NFL history. It was. Can we see that just for a minute? Well, that's the last time. He's out. He's done. This is it. One throw to Demaryius Thomas. Boom. On the money. That looked pretty good to me. That looks like he could throw a little bit. Come on, Ike Taylor. Come on, Ike. No! DT Hospital. At that moment, I am rolling on the floor of my apartment in New York City saying, I can't believe it. There was a moment like, wait, is it over? Yeah, it's over. Yes. It's over. It's over. They just beat Big Ben Roethlisberger. And on they went to New England, and they got their clocks cleaned by the Patriots and Tom Brady in a Saturday night game, I believe it was in New England. Okay, so the point was, he's on the phone because they got Peyton Manning knocked on the door. John, can I play? Yeah, we'll take you. And do I have any issue with that? No. Peyton over Tim Tebow. Yeah, I think I'd go with Peyton Manning, but I thought he had a lot left, and a lot of people thought he was washed up. Right. So we know the rest of that story because he should have won the next 2 MVPs. He won one. Adrian Peterson sort of stole one, I thought, but it's good for him. Yeah. So way to go. But the point was, Tebow then is a free agent, and Rex Ryan, he told me, called him on the phone and said, hey, come to the Jets, and I will give you a 50-50 shot at winning the starting job. And he never got that shot. He didn't do much of anything for the Jets. He didn't get a chance to play quarterback. Well, Skip, the Jacksonville, as it was told to me, he had 2 options, the Jags, which is his hometown team, and the Jets. And the Jags wanted Tim Tebow. He didn't want to go to the Jags. He wanted to go to the Jets. Now, maybe like you said, Rex had promised him an opportunity for the starting job. It was New York. It was the bright lights, and he thought he was going to get a real shot. I guess Sanchez was the starter. Yeah, Sanchez was. Yeah. And It didn't happen.
I believe he'd got a better chance.
Okay,
Skip.
you well could be right, and it's Jacksonville. It's where he's from. Okay, I got it. I also think the St. Louis Rams and Jeff Fisher were in that derby somehow, but whatever. And then he had the brief fling in Philadelphia and even a briefer one in New England, and he's out. And he never got to start or even try to start another game in pro football. And it hurt him bad, because that's his dream.
I think the thing, Skip, I think the thing is he at least got afforded the opportunity in Denver because the Broncos did draft him #1. Nobody else had that allegiance to him because, like you said, they didn't draft him.
No.
They didn't have the allegiance that even the Broncos, even though they wanted to move on, they're like, we owe him, at least give him an opportunity to see what he can do. And if he falls flat on his face, oh, well, so be it.
And unfortunately for Tim Tebow, he became the biggest sideshow in sports because everywhere he went was just media mania. He became, I believe, through that period, the easiest, biggest target in sports. He's evangelical Christian. He wears his religion on not one sleeve, but on both sleeves. He's kneeling, he's praying, and a lot of people don't love that. So he became, in the end, almost a pariah for a lot of people in pro football, and just on his sheer aura, he was too much for a lot of teams to handle. They didn't want to bring him to camp because, God, it's Tebow, and it's going to be a media circus.
Well, and plus, Skip, if you're the quarterback, Skip, you can't be, for your foundation, signing autographs, taking pictures before the game, Skip. You know how, at that position. Now, if you want to do that after the game, have at it, but not before the game.
All right, so he was forced to go to plan B. And that we're back to the showcase out here in 2016. He's just saying to me after the showcase, I know it's a long shot, but it's my only shot that I got left because I love to compete. And I think I can compete in baseball, and he took a shot. It's a lot of bus rides to a lot of remote places, and he did it for what? 1 year got canceled by COVID, obviously, last year, but he did it for 4 years. Okay, he did achieve this. You got to give him this. 2018, AA. It's usually where the best prospects are because when you get to AAA, it's a lot of lifers. They're just trying to fill rosters, and there'll be some injury rehab players come down from major league teams, but the hot prospects are AA. So he's up against kids who are way more talented than he is via the draft. They're high draft picks, right? He's just trying to make it 10 years later, 11 years later. And he made the all-star team at obviously mid-year. And in, what was it, 84 games? Yeah, 84 games that year at AA, he hit 273. I got to tell you, given 11 years off, that's an achievement. That's one to tell your grandkids about. And I also told you the other day, speaking of grandkids, he got married about a year and a month ago, and I assume that fairly soon they're interested in starting a family. And it's just for him to be riding buses in AAA this year. I told you the other day when he got named to come to spring training, I said, well, they don't even get to go until the veterans are gone this year because of COVID. And so does he want to spend a whole nother year at AAA riding buses to Poughkeepsie or wherever it is? It's hard.
Yeah, you go into some real small towns.
And it's not what he wants to be doing at this stage and age of his career. He's 33, going on 34. He's got a great job with ESPN. Why? What's left? He did this. He did the best he could. And I like what Sandy Alderson said, that he said by reaching AAA in 2019, he far exceeded expectations when we first had him in the system in 2016, and he should be very proud of his achievements, his accomplishments. That's Sandy Alderson, who's the GM of the Mets. Okay, so I agree. He did the best he could under the circumstance. And he did, I think, better than a lot of people thought he would. And he had some rough moments. He got hit on the head with a fly ball, as you've brought up before. Okay?
Hey, Jenny, we got that. Hey, do we got that? Hey,
you can show it.
Do we got it?
No.
We have to show
we got it.
I mean, you've never made any mistakes, Shannon.
Soccer.
You realize that ball caroms off the wall.
Off his head.
No, it caromed off the wall, and he wasn't ready for the carom.
That's why they give you a glove. Because they want you to jump up and catch the ball in the glove.
He thought the ball was going to carom into the field to play, and it went straight down on his head.
On his head.
Yeah.
It hurt, too.
Okay. He's hard-headed.
Yeah.
He is really hard-headed.
I can't believe you just called for that tape, Shannon.
He's
lucky.
We're
You're
trying to
supposed to
set
ask
him
the
out on a good
producer
note
for it
here.
before the show.
Oh, that's what we want to do?
Yeah, you're just lucky that our producers are so good at their jobs that they had it at the ready just for you.
Yeah, I got a couple of more in the can too, just for you.
Okay, I'm ready.
No, good, because, hey, that's all right. I'm going to go back to the film, the edit rule. We're going to get rid of the blooper reel. Why would we go get rid of the blooper reel?
You know
all
what?
right.
It has a life of its own.
No more
You could
blooper
erase
reels.
the blooper reel and it would spring back to life.
Just keeps resurfacing.
Yeah.
I have it memorized in my head, actually. If you want me to just break it down for you guys. Can we pull the tape for Damian Lillard? It was
Yeah.
good stuff.
Oh, my goodness.
He put the Blazers on his back last night in a 126-124 win over the Pelicans. Dame dropped 43 points, 16 assists in the game. And down the stretch, he had it when it mattered with a crucial game-winning 3 over Lonzo Ball. So, Shannon, is Dame all-time clutch?
He is. He's the greatest clutch player of this generation. Since he came into the league, Skip, in 2012, he has 33 go-ahead in the final 5 minutes. 33 of those shots in playoffs, in regular season and overtime. Skip, I mean, he's spectacular. I mean, he's unbelievable. We saw what he did. He and Michael Jordan. And Skip, you told me this. Anytime you're on a list with Michael Jordan, or anytime you're on a list with a historically great player, be it Michael, Magic, Wilt, Kareem, Larry, LeBron, Jordan, you should feel real feel real good. Michael Jordan and Dame Lillard are the only two guys to end 2 playoff series on game-winning shots. He's done that. We've seen him in big moments time and time again. Skip, against Chicago, they were down by 5 with 12 seconds to left. And Dame hit 2 threes and they win the ball game.
Yep.
And now he's got to be in the MVP conversation because he's got them, if I'm not mistaken, probably like the 4th or the 5th seed, 4th seed, maybe, Skip. So he's going to have to get 37 and 5. That's what he's giving you. And his team is rising. They're doing this with no CJ and no Nurk.
Yep.
So for me, Skip, he's all-time clutch. I've seen enough. Last night, scored or assisted 21 of the 23 Blazers points at the end of the game at 7:30. 14 points, 3 assists. Skip, in clutch situations this year, the final 5 minutes, the NBA defines clutch. The game within 5, the final 5 minutes. He leads the NBA in scoring. He's shooting 63% from the field. 59% from the three-point line. And your favorite, he's 100% from the free throw line. Skip, he's clutch. I've seen enough, and I've been seeing enough. Skip, I didn't always follow Dame Lillard because he's way up there in the Pacific Northwest. But I remember one night, I think the Cavaliers played him early in LeBron's career going back there. And they was asking him about, and people he wasn't getting the credit that he deserved. He had missed a couple of All-Star games. Yep. And LeBron James said, give me Dame Lillard. Y'all don't think he's special? Let me have it. And so I was like, hold on. I pay attention when guys start talking about other guys, Skip. Okay, this guy said he's good. Let me pay him a look. Skip, he the real deal. He legit.
Okay.
He legit.
I will give you real deal legit during the regular season. I will give you all-time clutch during the regular season. I will not give you postseason because I haven't seen nearly enough in the postseason. I will give you, he's hit 2 walk-offs in the postseason. That's 3 total for his career because the one against Zach LaVine in the Bulls the other day, he hit 2 actually.
Right.
I mean, I almost give him credit for 2 walk-offs because he hit 2 in the last 5 seconds.
Right.
But one was a buzzer beat. I'm talking about buzzer beaters.
Right.
He had one way back in 2014 that beat the Rockets in a Game 6. It was a closeout. Yeah, he had a 3. And then we all remember the one he hit against Russell Westbrook.
That was PG.
Yeah, and PG.
Yeah,
it was
PG was
over
guarded.
PJ,
Yeah.
but it was about Russell Westbrook, right?
Yeah.
And it was
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, right? Dame time. This.
You
right?
know what it is, Skip.
Okay. There have been way too many flameouts on this resume for me to say all-time clutch when it matters the most in the postseason, because I'm going to ask anybody who loves Dame to go back and check me on these because they're glaring in my eyes in the postseason. If we go back just to the 2018, it's a Western Conference first round, they got swept by the Pelicans. Now, that was Anthony Davis, but they were better than the Pelicans. They were seeded higher. They should have won this series, at least a game in this series. They got swept lost all 4 games. In the first game, they lost by 2 at home. And he missed a little runner in the lane. It was a 4-footer with 15 seconds left for the lead that cost him that game. Then in game 2, it's another game at home. You just have to win it. And he goes from the 7:31 mark all the way down to 38 seconds left when they're finally hopelessly behind, and he didn't score a point in all that sort of crunch, clutch time. Then they just got wiped out in the next 2 games, and it was pathetic. For that whole series, he averaged 19, only 5 assists with 4 turnovers a game, and he shot from the field. He shot 35%. That's horrible.
But Skip, I think the thing is what you're doing is that because he doesn't come up in every clutch situation, no one has, but more times than not, we've seen him come up big than not. It's like Brady. Brady doesn't always come up in clutch situations, but more times than not,
okay, but
he does.
He had won his first 6 Super Bowls with 6 game-winning drives in the fourth quarter overtime.
If you say,
when you say he doesn't always, well, that's pretty much always.
But I'm saying, Skip, in the regular season, Brady has lost games. But I'm saying, if you want to say Dame, maybe that's the only time that he was a favorite. But for the most part, Dame is winning these playoff series as a lower seed. Mm-hmm. He's sending teams home when he's the best player, and they have better players on the other team.
Okay, then let's go to the key series. This is the one where he was the biggest disappointment to me in his career, and that's when there's no KD for the Warriors. This is the Western Conference Finals in 2019. You got a shot here. You can put your stamp on it. You can go big Dame time because it's just you and CJ versus Steph and Clay. Basically, you should take these games over, at least one of them, and they lost all 4. Here's what he shot. 31% from the field. 31%. This is in the fourth quarter overtime. Mm-hmm. 8 of 26. He shot 29% from 3 in the fourth quarter overtime. And in game 2, it was tied after 3 quarters. In the fourth quarter, he went 1 of 5, and he went the final 7:42 of a close game without scoring a point. It's just not, that's not Dame
think about
time.
what you just said. You do what you just asked of Dame Lillard. You said, Dame Lillard, you should have beaten, even without KD, you should have beaten the greatest backcourt shooting team, the greatest backcourt ever. You should have beat them, Dame Lillard. Steph Curry.
Wait, he's all-time clutch.
Skip, Skip. He's still going against Steph Curry. See, you can't diminish, Skip. You can't diminish if the guy didn't come through in a few occasions.
Yep.
He's going against Steph. You make it seem like he's going against two just common guys. Steph Curry is historically great. He's going to the Hall of Fame. Klay Thompson is going to the Hall of Fame. He lost to a better backcourt. Remember, this is the same team without KD that went 67-15 and 73-9. So even though
is he or isn't he that guy?
Yes, he's that guy. Okay. He's absolutely that guy.
So in that series, they lose all 4, but they go home to Portland. They're down 2-0, but you got a shot because you're down 3 points after 3 quarters. And go look at his numbers in the fourth quarter. He just did next to nothing, and they lost by 11.
As great as Steph Curry is, Steph Curry doesn't have the clutch numbers as Dame Lillard.
Totally agree. You got me on that.
Is he not great?
That's my point here. I thought Dame would outshine him in clutch time. We went to game 4. At least you could win 1 game at home. Go look at what happened. At the end of regulation, he's got a little 5-foot runner in the lane off the glass and missed it to win the game. And at the end of overtime, he missed a good look, wide open, not wide open, but a good look 3 to win the game. He had 2 last-second shots.
Even in situations like this, Skip, the ball is not going to always go in. But it doesn't diminish whether or not he's clutch. Look at the clutch stats since he came into the league and compare him to everybody else that you view.
Regular season, you got me. I give you. Not post.
Skip.
Not post.
Okay, Skip. Okay, the difference is KD has made 2 of those big shots, but he's made them in the finals. I remember in Game 5, Game 6, and Game 7, KD came up small the previous year against Golden State. Okay. We don't hold that against him.
But I'm just talking about Damian Lillard.
But Skip, but I'm saying, Skip, so you disregard everything, all the other flaws that a person may have, but you hold Dame. Well, he didn't come through in this one, but did he come through against the Houston Rockets? Did he come through against OKC?
Yeah. Again, 2014 and back in whatever the other one was, 2019. Okay, so then we get your Lakers last year in the bubble.
Yes.
First round. Here we go. I got to see it.
With the 8 seed. You supposed to beat the 1 seed?
Okay, game 3. It's 1-1. This is it. You're on. Portland up by 4 at halftime. Okay, show me Dame time. Show me Dame time. Second half, he goes 2 of 9 and 1 of 5 from 3, and it's a wipeout.
Skip.
You lose by 8.
Skip.
That's not good enough. I'm waiting.
Skip.
I'm waiting. My watch is running.
Skip.
I'm waiting.
You make it seem like you talking about he was up at 4 at halftime. You make it seem like he was up 4 with 4 seconds left.
Okay, I'm just telling you,
Skip,
I don't see it.
Skip, we see teams up 21. Wasn't somebody just up 21 at the half?
Yeah.
The Phoenix Suns were just up on Brooklyn, 21 at the half.
Talking about Damian Lillard.
Skip. Okay. How about we do this? Look at the clutch numbers, because that's what you show me. You show me clutch numbers, and you say LeBron isn't clutch because this, and this. I got clutch numbers. Nobody has better clutch numbers than Damian Lillard, but yet you say he isn't clutch.
In the regular season, I gave you regular season. It's like the old Peyton Manning syndrome. Show me post. Peyton finally showed you some post.
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
And what happened last August the 8th in the bubble? The end of the regular season played out almost like playoff games, because it was a playoff game for Portland because they're trying to get in the playoffs, right?
Yes.
And what happened at the end of the game against the Clippers? Paul George played only 2 minutes of the fourth quarter. Patrick Beverley didn't play. Kawhi didn't play.
Okay.
They're sitting on the bench watching, and it comes down to the end, and with a few seconds left, Dame goes to the free throw line and clanks both free throws. And then he has a 3 to win the game at the buzzer, and he missed it.
Skip.
And what are they doing on the bench? They are clowning Damian Lillard. Dame time?
Skip.
Really?
Skip.
Patrick Beverley, Paul George are clowning him. If they thought he was that guy, if it was Michael Jordan, do you think anybody ever clowned Jordan? No, nobody would. It shows you that players on other teams are like, yeah, I don't know about this Dame.
And I guarantee you players on the other team would love to play with Dame. Skip. Clutch time doesn't mean that you come through every single time. Stop with this notion that every time in a clutch situation, Kobe, Michael Jordan, Steph Curry, Larry Bird came through. Stop doing that. Because
do you see
they
a
didn't.
pattern of clutchness in the postseason? I don't.
Skip. The guy has been clutch. He's only one of 2 men that have ended series on one. Is it clutch?
Well, he had 2 moments that I gave it to. The first 2 things I said.
Skip.
But I'll show you a whole series where he was a disaster.
Skip.
For a whole series.
I promise you, I can go back and show you series where every great player has struggled. Larry Bird's first final, you do realize he had 2 games in which he scored 8 points. Ladies and gentlemen, the great Larry Bird had 2 games in an NBA Finals in which he scored 8 points. Cornbread Maxwell, Cedric Cornbread Maxwell, was the Finals MVP in 1981 against the Houston Rockets. I can go back and show you series of
now that
every
you've
great
gone
player.
to the top, let's go to Michael Jordan. Go find me a series where he flamed out. Go find me one where he just didn't show up.
Skip.
Go find one. You can't.
I watched him, the game that he had 63. What did he do in the game 3 closeout? He had 19. He wasn't a leading scorer. John Paxson was. That happened. So, I mean,
the
you got
closeout of which series?
The first one, when he went to 8, when he had 63. Go look at the game 3.
You mean the Boston series?
The Boston series.
Okay,
yes.
well, they got swept.
Yes. Well, you can't win one game. He clutch. He Michael Jordan. You've got to win one game.
You mean the guy that Larry Bird said, that's God disguised as Michael Jordan?
I don't know what it was disguised as, but I know John Paxson scored the most points in that game. I just want to know. So, Skip, we can go back and nitpick, and all great players have had a series in which they've struggled. Go back and look it up. All the greats.
Did any rivals ever sit on the bench doing this to Larry Bird? Like, is it Bird time or not? Did they clown Larry Bird ever? Nobody did, because nobody would have ever thought about clowning.
Let me ask you a question. Did people clown Tom Brady when he did this?
Well, you
They
did.
never did that to Joe Montana.
You
They
did.
never did that to Joe Montana.
And you got clowned back.
They're like, whoa.
You got put right in your place.
Okay, and guess what? He put the Clippers right back at their place. He put people right back at their place.
Well, did he?
Now,
Not in the playoffs.
Skip, you know Dame Clutch. Don't do that, Skip. Don't do that, man, like that.
I don't know.
Don't do that, Skip.
Listen, at the highest level, I don't know if he's made of that stuff.
He made of that, right? He made of that
I
stuff.
don't know.
I tell you what.
I have my doubts.
I don't.
Okay, well,
You
be my guest.
just told me he was more clutch than Steph the other day.
Who?
Dame.
He's more clutch regularly in both. Listen, if we want to do this argument about Steph Curry, I can show you the numbers.
Did you see Steph last night? He was 5 when the rubber needed to meet the road. What happened, Skip? Blue coop.
And the date was what, and the opponent was who?
Skip.
Okay,
See,
hold
on,
okay,
Skip.
show me.
Skip, let me ask you a question.
Okay, go look at Steph's numbers in games 5, 6, and 7 against your Cavaliers.
Skip, why
He was horrible.
Skip, the thing that you criticize these young players for today, and this is what I have a problem with a lot of the old heads. You praise Michael, you praise Magic, and you praise Larry for finding ways to get themselves to go play on a meaningless Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday when it wasn't the playoffs and it was the dog days.
Okay, but all those guys, when it was time, as Magic called it, winning time, he won.
Skip.
He was clutch.
Skip, I'm not taking anything away from Magic. Magic is Magic. Bird is Bird.
Magic hit one of the greatest clutch shots I've ever seen.
Yeah,
the baby hook.
Yes.
I was sitting in the front row. I just was like, what?
Yes.
He did that
He did
then?
87. Skip, I watched it. I was in Savannah State. I watched it. He threw the baby hook.
He threw the baby hook. He said, I'll be Kareem for a moment. Right?
And he was looking to pass it. They pinned him in the corner and he threw it over everybody.
To win the game.
Yes.
At the Garden.
Yes. Well, Bird had a great look at a three, and it rimmed out.
And it rimmed out.
And he got mad. He said, I can't believe y'all let me have that shot.
And when it left Larry Bird's hand, I thought, that's good.
Everybody thought it was good when he left his hand.
Yep.
You know what I'm predicting here? Dame is going to remember those words from you, Skip. Much like Tom
good.
Brady.
Yeah,
I need a
Words
hype
from
video
Shannon
at the end of the
Sharpe.
year when Dame wins the championship.
He is going to
I need to be
remember
called out by
the
Damian Lillard
criticism.
when he wins it all.
No, we ain't doing no hype video.
Fourth
We're
in
not
the
doing no
West.
hype
He's
video.
doing it without CJ right now, too. Keep that in mind.
And Nurk.
Keep that in mind. We're going to leave it for now, guys. No mercy. Serena Williams fell to Naomi Osaka in the Australian Open semifinals and still remains one Grand Slam shy of tying the all-time record. Serena was emotional at her press conference after answering questions about some of her errors in the match and whether she was saying farewell to the crowd at the end. Take a listen.
I don't know. If I ever say farewell, I wouldn't tell anyone. So.
It was just one of those bad days at the office.
I don't know. I'm done.
Emotional. She later posted a thank you message to the fans in Australia saying, quote, I am forever in debt and grateful to each and every single one of you. I love you. Shannon, is the end near for Serena?
Yes, and she knows it. It wasn't a bad game, Skip. Naomi Osaka is better at this age now. When Serena Williams looks across the court, she should see a younger Serena Williams.
I agree.
The girl can out-hit her. She can move better. And all the things that Serena could do to her opponents back in the day, Skip, Serena could summons that thing where she could go to that big serve, and then all of a sudden she would break you, and then she'd run out 7-8, and the game would be over.
Yep.
That's what Naomi Osaka can do to her now. It's not, Serena can still, you saw she beat Simona Halep. She can win. But the thing is, Skip, you gotta be on your A game for 6 matches. And as you age, it gets harder and harder to do that. Because these girls, Skip, her idol, Naomi Osaka idol was Serena. She's 16 years a junior. Serena's 39. This young lady is 23.
Yep.
And can hit with the power that Serena hit with. Skip it. Serena, it's okay. I know she wants 24 so bad, Skip. But Serena, you've had a baby. Things change after motherhood. You play an athletic sport. And the thing is, Serena was power. Not only was Serena the most powerful woman, she can move better. Now, as we start to age, Skip, we don't move with the same freeness. We don't have the same level of power. The same thing happened with Fed. Skip, we see it. And that's the hardest thing for an athlete to come to terms with, my mortality in said sport. She knows it. Skip, the writing's on the wall. No one has to tell Serena. And you see what happens, Skip? She has to play with less frequency because her body can't recover. As we start to age, Skip, we don't have the recoverability. So we can't play a match. We can't play a tournament here and then play. Skip off, play. You see she's pulling out more and more, but you need that conditioning to be able to play. It's just a matter of time. I mean, like she said, she doesn't want to say it. Nobody wants to say goodbye. And we're almost at the end.
Okay. I will agree the clock is ticking because, as we all know, the sport of tennis is a young person's sport.
Yeah.
It's young men, young women.
Skip, it used to be at 30 years of age, all the greats were done.
Done. Done. She's 39, to your point. She hasn't won a Grand Slam since this Australian Open 4 years ago when she was already pregnant. So now her daughter is going on 4 years of age.
Olympia.
Okay? And to your point, I completely agree. Naomi got off, I watched the whole match last night. She got off to a jittery start because she's still, it's like her idol's across the net. And it's a little bit daunting to say, that's Serena. I was a little kid and I was saying, that's Serena. And once she shook it off, she lost and she got broken right away. And so she's down 2 games. And then all of a sudden she said, okay, here we go. And once she locked in, she's just a little more powerful than Serena is right now. And Serena got overpowered and, I never thought I'd say this, overmatched.
Yes.
Because Naomi was taking balls quicker and she was just returning them harder. She didn't serve great, but she didn't really need to serve great because she's just a little better at being Serena than Serena is right now.
Right.
But I am here to say, I'm not going to write Serena off. I don't know what's in her heart and her head because you got to want this because it is a huge sacrifice and commitment.
Well, Skip,
but I'm not yet ready to write her off.
Skip, it gets harder as we age to be able to put the practice time in, and then conditioning becomes a factor.
It does. I got it. What I would do if I'm Serena, I will bet you she will take this path. Skip the French. You don't need to. It's obviously on dirt.
Yeah, it's too grueling.
It's too grueling on your body, sliding after everything. So just skip the French. Play a grass tournament or 2 leading up. There are lots you can play leading into Wimbledon in London, obviously. And I'll give her a shot. On the fast grass at Wimbledon, I will give her a shot because now she'll be re-inspired. I'm going to take a shot here. Could
she win? A lot's going to have to do, is somebody going to upset Osaka? Is somebody going to nip Halep?
Maybe.
Or are they going to be on opposite sides of the draw? Because think about what she had to come through. She had to go through Osaka just to get to the finals. She had a girl that was ranked number 7 in the world. And she won, and this young lady won the French. So look at what she had to come through. So, yes, Skip, if you get somebody to knock somebody off and knock somebody off, and that's what you was hoping when the men play, Skip. And now if somebody can knock off Joker, knock off Fed, knock off the dog, I got a chance to win.
And sometimes that happens. Sometimes you need that to happen. See last year's Lakers, right? You need the Nuggets to eliminate the Clippers so that you don't get eliminated by the Clippers,
Skip,
right?
Serena, I can make a case Serena is the greatest athlete of all time.
Well, it's interesting. Her husband wore a T-shirt that wasn't last night, but the previous match, I saw him wearing a T-shirt that said, greatest female athlete ever, ? No, greatest athlete. That was his T-shirt. And I was like, you can make a case.
And that's the thing, Skip. And I know how bad she won 24 because she's so close. Skip, Serena used to be, look here, if Serena made it to the semifinals, go ahead and start etching her name on the trophy because you weren't beating her.
Yeah.
But as she started to age and she had a baby and then motherhood and then other things, is she devoting the same level of time? Because she got a brand now, the clothing line I see on Home Shopping Network. She got a daughter now. She's a mother. She's a wife. Skip, I mean, you know, that's...
But none of that precludes her, if she wants to, doing what she's done so many times, saying, okay, watch this.
You got to sacrifice that, though.
Okay, you got to sacrifice.
You got to sacrifice.
Okay, I hear you, but I still think I saw enough of her at the Aussie Open to say, she's still pretty good. So she's lost her last 4 finals now.
Yes.
But she got to the finals, right?
But Skip, if you look at she's losing the finals aren't close. Halep beat her 6-2, 6-2 at Wimbledon.
And this was not close.
I mean, you know, 6-3, 6-4, but when you look at it, the way that girl can hit through the ball, Serena, and just had Serena running all over the court.
And I felt bad for Serena because she spent half the match berating herself or even laughing at herself. Like, what are you doing?
Come on, play your game. Skip, you're playing your game, but this girl is better at playing her game now than you are at playing yours.
Hey, Serena Williams is as mentally tough as she decides. I still believe she could decide and go win Wimbledon, but she'd have to really get mad and commit.
Skip, that girl just better. That's just, and for the longest time, Serena was just better. No woman had a serve like Serena. No woman that could move like Serena, hit with the power, the forehand, the backhand. She had it all, and the mental side of it. Now, that's Osaka now, Skip. When you look across the court, you see a young Serena.
Yep. I will say this about the sport of tennis. The great thing about it is, back to the days I started covering Wimbledon, where I went a number of times, always the marquee matchup would be Navratilova versus Chris Evert. And the women are always more compelling than the men. Because last night, that was the showcase event of this Australian Open to me.
But for what her and Venus, Skip, when I was a kid, basically you had Zena Garrison and you had Lori McNeil. Those were the black tennis players. But now you see Venus Serena, you see Naomi Osaka, Sloane Stephens, Taylor Townsend. You see all these Coco Gauffs, the Madison Keys.
Because of the Williams sisters.
100%. I'm so glad we're talking about this. And I think about growing up and being a Serena fan, and it's like she gave you the confidence that you could be as good as the boys. And it sounds weird to say, but it was like, well, Serena can do it.
Serena been on this tour since 98. Skip is 2021.
Incredible. She is inspiring. She's 39. She's a mom. I mean, she's the GOAT in my eyes, guys. If I have to say it, because we talk about GOATs on the show plenty, but we got to have Serena Williams in the conversation. It was emotional last night, but maybe a passing of the torch as well to Osaka, who's going to be fun to watch.
No mercy.
Former Patriots teammate Kyle Van Noy said Tom Brady would often trash talk during practice, but would always win the battle. Van Noy said he understood where Tyrann Mathieu was coming from in the Super Bowl because he was, quote, talking big cash to Tom Brady, and it caught up to him because Brady scored on him and let him know. The former Patriot also said Brady's trash talk, quote, gives me chills thinking about it because it reminds me of Michael Jordan in his documentary. So, Shannon, are you buying the comparison to MJ?
No, I'm not buying the documentary. That comparison, Skip. You know, Mike was Mike. Mike did what he did. Mike's like he dunked on John Stockton, and the guy said, hey, why don't you pick on somebody on your side? So he steals the ball and dunks on 6'11" Melvin Turpin. He's like that. He's like Dikembe Mutombo. I will close my eyes and shoot this free throw. That's what Mike did. The great Larry Bird. And they say Larry Bird was even greater trash talker and more of a trash talker than Michael Jordan. Skip, look, I get it. Tom Brady, hey, I'm going to throw maybe Honey Badger, like, yeah, I got you. Didn't realize it was a flag. Tom's like, I'm going to throw a touchdown on you. But Tom ain't talking trash at the beginning of the game. If Tom wants to impress me, come out there when he comes out the tunnel and he runs down the field, talking about, let's go. Go down there and say, I'm going to throw a touchdown on you. I'm going to throw a touchdown on you. I'm throwing for 350 yards on all of y'all. Because that's what I did. I run by him and say, I'm going to beat you for like 25. I'm going to score a touchdown on you, and I'm going to give it to you the whole second half. Now, shut your you-know-what up. That's what I do. I talking to him like that, Skip Bayless. I told Earl Holmes, we playing them in Pittsburgh. I said, you the weak link. We going to take advantage of you. Jordan, part of them, we ain't fooling with them. But you, we going to house you. They beat us, but I was talking trash the whole game, though, Skip.
But they beat you.
They beat us. They got it.
I'm glad you added that note.
They had a better team. They were low. And as a matter of fact, Skip, that was the year they lost to New England in the championship game. That was that year. But Skip, look, I get it. Skip, that's not Tom Brady's MO. Yeah, Skip, the guy said something in Pittsburgh and he ran way down the field. And it's easier to talk now for a quarterback because they're so protected. But when you covered the league, wasn't no quarterbacks talking no trash ever. If you threw a touchdown pass on somebody, you kept your mouth shut, you ran off the field because they would lay you out. Tom knows he's heavily protected now. So he might do might say a little something like what we see Phillip Rivers do. That would have never, ever flew in the 80s and 90s. But now, Skip, they're protected. You can't hit them high. You can't hit them low. You can't land your weight on them. You can't do a lot of different things. But I still don't look at Tom Brady as the trash talker, the in-your-face type of guy that Jordan was. Skip, Jordan, he went into the game looking to start some foolishness, talk crazy in people's face, and did not back down. He went at Reggie Miller, him and Xavier McDaniel was face-to-face, and we know the battles that he and the bad boy Pistons had. So I don't look at it like that. Is he as intense of a competitor as Jordan? Absolutely. But the trash talking, I don't see that.
Okay. to your point about Jordan, it was much more in your face. I've told you stories that in 1998, one time, Vashawn Leonard, remember him from the Heat?
Yeah, I do.
The Heat had just wiped out the Bulls at Miami about a month earlier. This is in February, maybe. They come to the United Center. Vashawn Leonard is back every time that the Bulls are shooting free throws, so he has to go to the far free throw line and just stand waiting to play defense, right? While his teammates shooting a free throw.
Right.
Jordan wouldn't line up with the Bulls to get the rebound. He would go back with Vashawn and just lean over. Vashawn was like 6'2" or 3" maybe, Jordan 6'6". He would lean over the whole time the free throws are shot and just talk in his ear, like tell him, you ain't, you know what, because Vashawn Leonard had made the mistake after the wipeout game that they wiped out the Bulls in Miami of talking about, we knew we could do this and that and the other, and it was over.
Right.
And I think Jordan scored 50-ish that night. It's just classic, but he did this a lot.
Well, kind of like the back-to-back they had against the Bullets at the time when LeBron Smith scored 37. And LeBron didn't even say anything. That was the media hyping up. Jordan went for 36 and a half against him the next game.
Okay, I got it. It's more out front. It's more visible. But I still think you are underestimating Psycho Tom. He's got this crazed alter ego in there that can go over the edge if you trash talk him first. He's not going to initiate the way you initiate.
Right, or Jordan initiated.
Yes, and so did Larry Bird.
Yeah.
In fact, Mark Aguirre used to tell me when I was covering the Mavericks, nobody could trash talk like Larry Bird because he would try to belittle you into, like, just cut your legs out from
Skip,
under personal insults.
Skip, he told the coach, he said, don't put no white guy on me. That's disrespectful to my talent. He said he could be black, he could be Asian, he could be yellow, but don't put the white guy. That's disrespectful to me.
It's the truth. Ugh. Some of the stories I could tell that won't work on television, I have to keep to myself. But I loved what Kyle Van Noy said, because in practice, it could get very heated. And he talked about when Gronk, it looked like he was going to be traded, and then he's back at practice, and he's still a Patriot. And all of a sudden, Brady and Gronk are just lighting up the defense, and they're giving it to him verbally as well as physically.
Right.
And as he said, you know, they were talking big trash to us, and we couldn't say bleep back to him because it was like, you guys are beating our ass and letting us know about it. Well, that guy's in there, that Tom Brady. So you don't want to provoke him if you can help it. And he's saying it gave me chills watching the Super Bowl because I didn't think of Jordan sitting in his locker before the game with the baseball bat and a cigar. You know, and he's just like squeezing the sawdust out of the baseball bat, thinking about what he's going to do to somebody who made the mistake of saying something about him when the ball's tipped up.
And sometimes, and I don't know. Look, I think Brady's trash talk on the field, Skip, is in retaliation when you trash talk to him. So you're like,
correct.
Like the guy from Pittsburgh, Skip. Remember, he said, "Oh, I'm gonna have me a pick, and we gonna do this against Brady."
Well, he guaranteed they would win, and it was during the undefeated year at Foxborough. Pittsburgh will win, I guarantee it.
Flea flicker like the first play of the game, and then Brady racing down the field and all in the guy's face.
Okay, so what happened on the play in question? Well, it first happened that there was a tipped interception that Honey Badger came up with. And he jumps up celebrating, and there's an off-the-ball hold on Mike Evans that nullifies the play.
Because he's thinking, Skip, I got a pick on Tom Brady in the Super Bowl.
Super Bowl.
So I got me a pick.
Okay, so Brady went Jordan-esque because he didn't like the way that Honey Badger was celebrating. And he's like, oh, okay, watch this. And so they drive it all the way down, and then he runs a little in and out.
They're real wild on him.
Yeah, and they score on Honey Badger, and he's going to let him know about it, and it went over the edge. And I told you the next day, he deserved a flag as well. They both should have been flagged, should have been offsetting, and I don't know why. I guess it's after you win 6, you get that much respect during a Super Bowl. But remember what Tyrann Mathieu said after the game, I'd never seen Tom like that. Well, then you haven't watched closely enough because he's got that in him. Again, ultimate wolf in sheep's clothing, because off the field, he looks like just some dad next door. He can be nerdy, he can be corny, but he's got that gear in him, and it's profane. You're going to get all the the choice words.
Well, Skip, what used to bother me is that the guy dropped the DB, he'll bat the ball down, and he stand up over you like that's not his job. I said, okay, I got something for you. I catch a touchdown. I said, now do that what you just did the play before, boy.
Okay, all right. So, good. So what did LaShawn McCoy say? We had a group text going, all the skill players, about 10 of us, and leading up to the Super Bowl or any big game, he's texting everybody saying, hey, so-and-so DB, he likes to press, but he can't run.
Right.
He likes to grab and hold, but he can't run.
Right.
So we're going to take advantage of it.
Yes.
He's breaking down the tape that he's watching. So he's trash-talking internally to inspire his skill players. But he's not going to do it until he gets provoked during the game.
No, I mean, y'all got to let you know, you terrible. You terrible. Why you think they play the coverage that they play? Because you the weak link and you need help.
Okay.
So you doing all the talking. He's some good. You terrible. Why he should be talking, not you.
Well, I still say Honey Badger pushed the wrong button. And he paid for it because he who laughs last
laughs louder.
Skip,
here's the thing, though, but Honey Badger didn't know there was a penalty. Skip, I got to think about it. If you catch a touchdown in the Super Bowl, your immediate reaction is to celebrate. Now, we've seen guys catch touchdowns and all of a sudden there's a flag. You're like, oh, man, I done did this nice dance. I done had my celebration. So Honey Badger like, I picked Tom Brady. I'm going to tell my kids, my grandkids, I got to pick on Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. And so Tom didn't like Tom, like, what you celebrating for? You don't see that flag?
Yeah.
Hey, Honey Badger. And then he's like, okay, hey, AB, go run that whip right on it.
Okay. I still say Tom Brady has one screw loose in a good way that you don't give him credit for. He's got that one psycho Tom screw.
Well, Skip, he got the best team, and he protected. So stop pretending like he ain't no trash talking like Jordan and Kobe.
I think he was more than you think, even when he was in New England.
No.
No mercy.
The Lakers host the Nets tonight in what many are predicting will be a finals preview. LeBron will still be without Anthony Davis, but the Nets will be missing Kevin Durant for this one. And Staples, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden are expected to play. Yahoo Sports senior NBA insider Chris Haynes joins us now. Chris, it's been too long. I got to start by asking you, how important is tonight for LeBron's MVP case?
Well, Jenny, I'm glad you brought me on. I'm pretty sure it was all your idea to talk some sense here on this discussion. Glad to be back. But look, let me talk about this. Whenever we're talking about MVP candidates and looking at their resumes during that season, we tend to look at marquee games and marquee matchups. And the Brooklyn Nets, it doesn't get no bigger than that. Now, I will say with Kevin Durant being out, I think that takes a lot of the firepower away from what could happen with LeBron when it comes to his MVP candidacy. But I will say this, he has a lot to carry right now. And if he is able to defeat the Brooklyn Nets and play spectacular and particularly outplay James Harden and Kyrie Irving, then look, this can do nothing but bode well as a voter, as a voter. I will look back on some of these marquee matchups, these marquee games, and this could be one of those games I look back on. That could it sway it or not? I don't know, but it's something to look forward to. But I will say this, I don't want to get too much off topic, but there's a guy by the name of Damian Lillard over there in Portland who is heating it up, has the Portland Trailblazers in fourth right now. So LeBron, I say he's carrying a load, but he's not carrying the same load that Damian Lillard is without C.J. McCollum and Yusuf Nurkic. So LeBron, it's probably his to win right now. If I'm doing an MVP ranking, probably number one LeBron because they're number two in the West. You got to look at guys like Joel Embiid is doing over in the East, number one in the East. But, there's a lot to gain from this game. But I wouldn't say it's all in. It's going to all in with tonight's affair.
I agree, Dame, with the Dame Lillard situation. I tweeted that last night. At some point in time, we're going to have to mention his name in the MVP discussion. But I think the biggest thing that LeBron has working in his favor, Chris, is that he's playing these games and he's winning these games without Anthony Davis. Because what was the thing? Oh, he had AD. If he can continue to win, keep them in the 2 seed. And Skip and I got a couple of cases bet that they were going to go 6-3 in this 9-game stretch, which we will believe at least 9 games without Anthony Davis. If he can go 6-3, he can go 7-9 and do what he's been doing, I don't see how he would have not done anything to lose any ground in the MVP race. So with that saying, winning is going to be the most important caveat for his MVP. LeBron's going to be LeBron. The thing that I hate is that it's stressing his minutes because he was trying to keep those minutes around 33, 34, Skip. And for the better part of 12, 13 games, he was at about 32 minutes a game. And then all of a sudden it went to 33, went to 34. And so now we're starting to see an uptick in his minutes, and we're going to see even more of that because there is no more AD, and he's going to have to take on more of the scoring load and more of the rebounding load, hence the 13 defensive rebounds. So LeBron's going to be LeBron. We're going to win this game tonight, and we're going to be 2-0 without AD since he's been out 5-1 already without AD.
So I have one quick question for both of you. Can LeBron James get any breaks or what?
What breaks?
He gets to duck the Clippers in the bubble last year, and then he gets the 5 seed from the East. He gets the Heat, and in game 1, they lose arguably their 2 best players at that moment. Dragic, who was leading them in playoff scoring, and bam, their heart and soul, they're gone in game 1. How lucky are you there? And then we get to what we thought was going to be the marquee matchup of this regular season. At Staples, the new Nets, the nothing but Nets. But they don't have the best player on the planet. There's no Kevin Durant.
So let me ask you a question, Skip. If I had told you before the beginning of the season, there was going to be a game between the Los Angeles Lakers, LeBron James, with Kyrie Irving and James Harden, would you have said that would have been a marquee matchup?
Well, not bigger than if it would just been KD and Kyrie. I'd say that'd be a marquee matchup.
So we don't have. They don't have AD. So what do you think about that? Is that a break for LeBron? He doesn't have AD.
I think LeBron should win this game. They're favored to win this game. And I think the pressure has actually mounted on LeBron tonight because I think everybody will expect him to win this game. You expect him to win this game. I believe Chris expects him to win this game.
There, I would have expected him to win.
I wouldn't, because that's his nemesis. That is the man who shot it right in his grill, in his house, to win the MVP in Game 3s back-to-back in the finals.
Did he do that? What was that? OKC when he did that, right?
Who?
KD.
He was with the Warriors.
Okay.
But did the Warriors not need him? Did they not beg him to come and save them after they blew that 3-1 lead?
Skip, it was a perfect match. It was a perfect match. They needed him, he needed them.
Okay. So, Chris, I give you this. LeBron is leading the MVP race by default because, listen, the guy I saw last night, and I watched the whole game, that 7-foot monster in Philadelphia, he is something, but he hasn't played enough games. So you dock him for that because he did play without Ben Simmons last night, and he was spectacular, albeit against the Rockets. But listen, Boogie had no chance against Joel Embiid last night.
No.
So, Chris, how much do you have LeBron ahead in the MVP race, and why do you have him ahead?
I have him ahead right now simply for their placement and the fact that, a lot of people didn't think, he would be able to play at a level right now. Most people thought AD at some point, whether it was last season or this season, will take over the threshold of carrying the offense. But LeBron James is still doing it, and the Lakers are playing at a high level. To me, Skip, Shannon, there's no clear-cut MVP favorite right now. It's in flux right now. If I have to pick my top 3 candidates right now, a couple of weeks ago, it was Nikola Jokic. He was in that top 3. Denver has slid a little bit. I believe they're 7th or 8th right now. I got to go with right now LeBron, number 1, by a hair, Joel Embiid, Damian Lillard. And Damian he's catching guys. But LeBron has a hair, and he has a golden opportunity right now to show people that he can still carry a team in the Western Conference, keep them in the top 2 in the West, without AD being there for a long period of time. It's going to be hard to overlook that if he continues at that pace.
Okay, so Chris, quick questions. Does it bother you at all when it comes to LeBron's MVP case that he is 2nd in the league in turnovers and he's about to track down Luka, who's 1st? Does it bother you that in the month of February, LeBron in 8 games is shooting 28% from the three-point line because he's fallen way off that hot streak that he was on? He's now 14 of 50 in February from the three-point line. Do those 2 stats bother you?
Well, it would bother me if
losing.
If they're losing, it will bother me. But I will say this, Skip, I don't look too much into percentages. I look at the impact. Because as we've seen, there's a lot of players that play in this league that you look at the numbers and you look at, wow, but they have no impact on the game. I don't think anybody can make the case that LeBron James doesn't have an impact on the game. There might be a night where he has 8 or 9 turnovers. I mean, he just shoulders so much of the offensive load of getting guys involved. That kind of comes with the territory. So to answer your question, unless this team is losing, unless it translates to that, then I have to look at those numbers and say this is a reason why. But if he's making a great impact on the game and they're winning, I can't hold that against him.
Okay, and then flip it around on the Nets. Are your doubts rising about their ability to win the Eastern Conference now that those big three have played only 6 games together? It's 7 that they were actually in the game. Remember, KD got yanked out of that game, so I'm not going to count that one. So it's 6 games those 3 have played together so far.
That's definitely concerning and alarming. But I will say this. I wouldn't say I'm more so concerned about that because I think at the end of the day, they'll all be there when it's time to really play. I'm talking about the postseason. I give the Nets a better shot now, not because of what they've been able to do on the court, but I give them a better shot now in the East because Milwaukee has disappointed me to this point.
Oh, my goodness.
And if Milwaukee isn't up to the standards that we all thought they would be, they're supposed to have improved, especially with the acquisition of Jrue Holiday. But if they don't reach that level that we thought, I don't see anybody over in the East aside from Philly, not to disrespect Philly, but there's not many teams out there that can really, you could say in a 7-game series, that can give it to Brooklyn. So for Milwaukee's disappointing start, you know, I kind of favor the Nets a little bit more than I did early on.
I like Philly also, but the question is, Skip, you know come playoff time, you play every other day. Can Ben Simmons give me 40 and 20 every other day? Now, I know in game 1, after a 2 or 3 day layoff, he gonna probably give it to somebody that first game out the box. But then you start playing every other day. And we've seen, Skip, come playoff time, we've seen Joel Embiid miss games. You know, his tum-tum is hurt, you know, something going on with that. The Gerber, the baby carriage wasn't good enough for him. So that's what's concerning about me. We know the Nets. Those 3 guys, the firepower, but you got to make them pay on the other end, Skip. You got, because, look, they're looking to outscore you. 130, if they can win a game 130, 128, oh, so be it, as long as we won the ball game. And so that's they're not going to have the problem because we believe that was the problem with the Clippers. They really never got a chance to play together, Skip. But even if they had played together, they don't possess the firepower that the Brooklyn Nets got. Nope. Nobody. I don't really, like I said, nobody has had this kind of firepower, Skip, what they can do.
Okay, but do not sleep on that team in the basement at Staples. Do not sleep on the Clippers.
Guess what again? Paul George hurt again. What's Kawhi doing again? Chris Haynes hurt again. Pat Bev, all he do is cheerlead. He pulled a hamstring, cheering, jumping so high. Hold it up, go, team, go.
And they're so deep they can win without those guys.
I couldn't tell you, they win last night?
No.
Okay, then.
They won 3 quarters last night. Well.
We at the top, Skip. I mean, we're looking. Do you want them to see our rings? Well, y'all saw them open tonight. We showed them to y'all open tonight. We got these courtesy of you guys.
Really? I took one to the jeweler, a jeweler friend of mine. He said it's cubic zirconia.
See, there you go. Chris, you see what I'm saying, Chris?
Chris, he's been saying that for months. It's not okay.
He a hater.
It's insulting to that ring. That ring is beautiful. Oh, I would love that. Shannon, did you get yours yet? Did you get yours?
I got one coming. I saw Mike Trudell got one. I'm going to be getting me one, too.
Okay, I just want to make sure you're covered there. Chris, it's always such a pleasure.
Thank you, Chris.
Appreciate it, Chris.
We'll check in with you soon.
No mercy.
Adam Ninkovich pulled back the curtain on how Bill Belichick would use Tom Brady as leverage during other players' contract negotiations. The former Patriot told Pat McAfee that Belichick would tell players that Brady is the best all time, but would only rank 15th at his position in salary. So if other players wanted to stay with the team, then they should, quote, do what you gotta do. So, Shannon, this is interesting. Should Brady be praised or criticized for always taking less money?
Skip, what he did was a very unselfish act on his part. But I spoke about this several times, but what it did, it suppressed the market on his own team, and I believe it did damage throughout the league. Because, Skip, like he said, he's like, hold on, wait a minute. I understand that you're a great top-notch player and you deserve to be paid X, but I can't pay you more than I pay that guy. That guy takes chicken feed. So at least you're going to get less than chicken feed, you're going to get bird feed.
Yep.
And so if you want to stay here, Skip, if you remember when Danny Amendola was talking about the Patriot way, and I said, Skip, he's speaking out of anger because for 3 years in a row, what did Coach Belichick make Danny Amendola do to stay on the team? Take pay cuts.
Yep.
And he resented him for that. And the first chance he got, he's going to take it. He's going to take his shot.
He unloaded.
He unloaded on him. So, Skip, it was a very unselfish act on Tom's behalf. But what it did, it was very selfish to the other players because now they're forced to take less money because Tom took less money. And now, Skip, franchise tag, they're based on the average salary of the top 5 quarterbacks. Well, if Tom Brady was getting market value, that value would increase. So therefore,
But he was never in the top 5.
That's my point, because he kept taking less money. So if he takes what he's supposed to get, he's going to pull everybody else along.
Yep.
And so now the top 5 was probably $5-10 million more than what it would be.
Yep.
So I commend him that he felt like, you know what, I'm doing what's in the best interest. But probably if you ask him deep down, he's like, knowing what I know now and how they treated me at the end, I should have got every dime that they owed me because at the end of the day, they didn't really appreciate it because I should have been able to stay here as long as I want. If I wanted to go out there with a walker, after what I did for this organization,
that's true.
You should allow me to do that.
Well, not only did they not appreciate it, but you saved Bill Belichick countless millions against the cap that he did what with? I never could figure it out. Where did the money go?
Skip, he saved Belichick's job. Damn the money. He saved his job.
But I mean, all that cap space that you gave him back because you took so far, like Ninkovich said, they said, well, wait a second, Tom's like the 15th highest paid quarterback. You got to be the 15th highest paid pass rusher.
Right, thank you, yes.
Right, linebacker.
Yes.
Right? So all that savings got you weird under the cap. Well, it didn't get your supporting cast that much better.
Right.
Because I never could figure out where the money was going.
I don't know how they talk about, well, they ain't got no money to sign a quarterback. I'm like, well, where did the money go?
Stephon Gilmore got paid.
Yeah, but he
got
was a
top dollar.
He was a free agent.
Free agent out of Buffalo.
But what do they normally do, Skip? They normally go to the players that they like. They go to them early, and they get them because 2 years in the Gronk's deal, you like Gronk is the 8th highest paid tight end. You're like, how the hell Gronk's the 8th? Well, they got him early. They gave him that money, 2 years left on his deal, and you're like, well, that's a lot of money. But when you look at it, you're like, damn, they got me.
Okay. So look at Rob Ninkovich. Look at what he did during his career. He made a grand total of $24 million in 11 seasons, so that's barely over $2 million a year, right? His high was $6.6 million in 2014. But what happened in 2014? They won the Super Bowl.
Right.
What happened in 2016? They won the Super Bowl. So he $4 million. I don't know, not that he saved all 24, but obviously he made $24 million, which is not all bad.
Not bad.
And
decent money.
Where is he now? He's a commentator on ESPN.
Right.
How many Pro Bowls did Rob Ninkovich make? None. Zero Pro Bowls. He's on ESPN because he played with Tom Brady and won Super Bowls, right? You could actually attribute his current platform to his association with Tom Brady.
Because, Skip, it's not like, a lot of guys that's on television, they were very outspoken when they played.
Yep, he was not spoken.
You can't remember anything Rob Ninkovich said.
Because one time on First Take, we were up at Foxborough before the year, and we had him on.
Right.
Because we tried to get anybody to talk.
Right.
McCourty to talk.
Right.
Nobody would say boo.
Right.
Because they just don't. They work hard at saying nothing. And Rob Ninkovich was terrible on TV. I mean, he's well-spoken, and you could tell it was in there, but he's not going to give it to you as a player. So Shannon Sharpe, when he played, he would unload. That's what you did.
Yes.
Your locker was... It was Grand Central Station for the media because everybody wanted to hear what Sharpe
said. I was one of the few players, Skip, that wasn't a quarterback that had as many media members at my locker as the quarterback.
Correct.
Because I was going to talk. But like I said,
where did that get you? It got you on CBS.
Got me on CBS, and it got me here.
That is correct. But mainly it got you on CBS to start with.
Yes.
So you could establish yourself in the media.
Skip, and that's what I've said. I don't begrudge Tom Brady, but there's a reason why in baseball, Skip, They don't allow you to give discounts, do you? They don't allow you to take pay cuts.
That's about the Players Association.
Because they don't want you to suppress the market. They want the market to keep going. Skip, the quarterback market probably should already be if Tom Brady had done what he was supposed to do, Skip, the quarterback market would already be at $50 million. Because you know how it works.
Are you?
Huh?
Okay, I agree. No, I'm with you, except we keep putting this in the context of LeBron James.
Right.
Who has always made near the max. He did sacrifice a little bit that first year in Miami, right? Mm-hmm. Just so they could get all three
of them.
Okay. But after that, max. Now he's age 36. He's making $37 million. Mm-hmm. Okay. But what did the great Tim Duncan do? I've told you again and again. He made pretty good money at age 32 and 33. That was in 2009, 2010. He made 21 and 22 million.
Right.
Not bad,
right.
But he's the greatest power forward ever, right?
Right.
Then he gets to age 34 and 35, 2013, 2014. He said, I'll take 10 million. You'll take 10 million?
Right.
Well, again, does that hurt the marketplace? Yeah, it does. Because the great Tim Duncan has taken 10 million. What happened in 2013? They should have won it all. Thank you, Ray Allen.
Right.
And 2014, they did win it all because they were the deeper team than the Heat.
Because I think the thing is, Skip, is that when you do a contract and you in your prime, you owe it to the guys that's coming behind you to keep the market going. Because we know the employer wants to suppress the market. If he can keep... Skip, if they could have continued to play quarterback $5-6 million like Elway Marino was making back in the mid-'90s, that's what they would have done. But you got to keep you got to think about, not only was I thinking about me when I did my contract as a tight end, I'm thinking about all the other guys. The Gonzalez is going to be a free agent also. And there are going to be other guys. So how does a 5-time, Pro Bowl player with 3 or 4 first-team All-Pros take less than market value? No, I need market value. Give me market value because I need this thing to grow. And so that's what. But it was selfish of him to not think about the other players that was coming behind him playing his position.
Okay, now you're talking about principle versus rings, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, he's just saying, I just want to win a ring, so I'll take less money because obviously he has a built-in advantage. His wife makes a lot of money.
But plus
more than he makes.
Yeah, plus the luxury that most quarterbacks have.
Yeah.
They're going to be able to make, especially those guys, they're going to be able to make somewhere between $3 and $10 million off the field, and they don't have to throw another pass in their life. Look at Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning kick his feet. Why you think Peyton Manning like, Peyton, we want you to do the CBS asked him, did he want to do it? ESPN, do you want to do Monday Night Football? Mm-hmm. Peyton like, for what? Well, I want to do all that stuff. I can make that kind of money right doing a little speaking engagement, flying around doing this.
Yep.
So quarterbacks already have a built-in luxury that a lot of other players don't have, Skip.
So does LeBron James. It's estimated he's making $64 million
Ain't no
off
estimation.
the court.
They lowballed him.
$64
They
million.
lowballed him.
So wait, 37 plus 64. Oh, wait, that means he's making 100 and some million?
And he underpaid. He should be making $100 million for the Lakers alone.
Okay, well, to me, he should say, I'll take $10 million
I wish he
from the
might.
Lakers so that you can stock your bench.
I cut him off. He take less money, I cut him off, I'm done.
Cut him off.
I'm done.
This guy named Jordan in Chicago always took less money, and he's 6-0 in the finals with 6 MVPs because he had a good supporting cast.
That joker worth $2.3 billion.
Okay, but the point is, he took less.
Skip.
Brady took less.
You know how
Tim Duncan took less. LeBron takes more.
Skip, he was making more from Nike than he was from the Bulls. You could take less. And that's what, Skip. And plus the thing was, there was really no free agency then like it is now. And you see what happened. Michael said, nah, my last 2 years, I need y'all to give me what I'm worth. Michael Jordan was making more than a lot of teams was playing their entire roster.
Okay. And your point is?
He deserved it.
Oh, he deserved it.
Skip, look, that's to be commended. Tom was being unselfish. Tom thought he was doing the right thing.
Well, he just wants to win lots of Super Bowls.
But Skip, at some point in time, you got to think about because just think about it. If all players, there have been a lot of guys that are like, well, hey, I got this so good, I'm not worried about you. You can't have that mentality. You can't think, me as a black man, Skip, I can't think because I live good. I'm not worried about nobody else that black. Y'all fend for yourself. I can't think like that. So Tom shouldn't, I'm saying I don't believe Tom should, give him credit, kudos, but I don't believe he should have thought like that. I believe he should have thought about the betterment of football. Because Skip, we already don't get guaranteed contracts. You don't get guaranteed contract. You know it's a short shelf life. You got 2.5. If you're a running back, 2.5 years. If you're in any other position, you got 3 years. So it's not like you're going to have, I mean, think about that, Skip. 3 years when you got guys like Brady playing 21. You got Drew Brees play 20, and still the average length of an NFL player is 3 years.
Okay, but it's easy for LeBron to say, I'm taking $37 million for the rest of the league's sake, for all the players coming up behind me.
Yes.
You're also taking it for you.
Yeah.
Right?
No, Skip. Okay. But Skip, you know how it is. You know what they're gonna say. Man, LeBron James, they doing this right here. Because what did Coach Belichick use? He used Brady against everybody else.
He did. I agree. And they won a whole bunch of Super Bowls.
Yeah.
Way to go.
Contract stuff, it's complicated.
No mercy.
With the March 9th deadline approaching to franchise tag players, Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk believes that's also effectively the deadline to sign Dak Prescott to a long-term deal. With the possibility of the salary cap lowering in 2021 and the prospect of tagging Dak going up $6 million again, now is more important than ever for the Cowboys to get a deal done. Shannon, do you agree?
No, I don't agree, Skip, but I do agree that the longer this plays out, the more difficult it is. Because, Skip, what you want to have happen if I'm a player is that I want to get something done before free agency. Because teams are going to start looking for whatever position they need to fill. And then what happens after free agency? The draft. Yeah. That's another opportunity for teams to fill needs that they need to fill. So I need to be at Skip, I need to be at the head of the line. Because the guy that's at the head of the line gets first dibs on what. So they said the buffet, Skip, I like to be the first. They used to give the buffet. I don't do buffets no more, Skip, but I try to get there early. They set the food out by 11:30. I'm there at 11:15 because I'm at the front of the line. Because I want the Salisbury steak. I want the mac and cheese, and I don't want it all picked over before I get my turn.
Buffets are dangerous.
Yeah, they were dangerous. Ooh, they were dangerous with me, boy. My stomach had like this here.
Yep.
Yeah. But don't worry about that. That's okay. I was young, Skip. I could work it off. But Skip, he needs to be at the front of the free agency line. And I think the thing is, when you put the tag on him, Skip, and you go through free agency, and then you go through the draft, the likelihood of you getting a long-term deal, because they're like, well, where you going to go? Everybody done feel their quarterback need either through free agency or the draft, and so now you really stuck with us. So either acquiesce and take the money that we're offering, or you're going to have to play another year on the franchise tag at $38 million. Well, Dak doesn't want to play on the franchise tag, Skip, and I think somebody yesterday wrote that Dak Prescott, they're going to probably offer Dak like a 6-year deal. They can board the final 4 years.
Todd Archer of ESPN was just speculating, like, here's a compromise.
Ain't no more compromise because he broke his ankle. The compromise is out the window now, Skip.
And the average of that deal was like 38-ish million.
Because he says, I'm not going to let you give me 38 when the Houston Texans had Deshaun Watson with 2 years left, plus another 2 years of franchise tag. So he got 4 years left on his deal. They gave him $39 million. And you want me to take $37 to $38 million with one franchise tag left. I wish I might. So, Skip, he needs to be at the front of the line. And if you say, Skip, I keep hearing Jerry and Steven say, Dak, he's a franchise guy. We could win a Super Bowl with him. I need to see a photo on IG of Dak putting pen to paper on a long-term deal, 6 years, $240 plus. That's what I need to see. Then I'll be convinced. But until then, I don't believe it.
Okay, so the answer to Jenny's question is yes, 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 they need to do this now. Obviously they do.
Yes.
It would clarify the entire franchise.
Or at least before free agency.
Well, that's what I'm saying, is before March 9th.
Yeah.
The pre-tag,
I'm just going to get it done so we don't have to worry about putting the tag.
A whole cap. Then you can go seek free agents.
Right.
You can worry about how you're going to play the draft.
Right.
Well, I'm great with that. At what price? We're back to at what price. Everybody says, just do it, Jerry. At what price?
Skip,
Beyond Deshaun money?
No, Skip. Yes, Skip. I'm telling you, it's going to be for everybody that I've talked to, believe Dak Prescott at the bare minimum is coming in at $40 million. That's at the min.
Okay. So let me quickly illustrate the desperation of most Cowboy fans right now. Our man Derek is a security guard in the lobby that we see every morning when we enter, and he is the biggest Cowboy fan. He might be bigger than I am.
He is.
So he hit me with this scenario when I walked in a few minutes after 4 a.m. today here in L.A. this morning. He said, hey, how about this? This is desperation. What if we offer Houston Dak and Zeke and our first-rounder for Deshaun? I do it. Okay, but time out. So this is where we are. Because think about this. then Houston's going to inherit your two biggest problems because Zeke is obviously overpaid, right? Not what he used to be. And Dak wants more than Deshaun is making right now.
Right.
So Houston would inherit like, oh, now we got to pay him more than we were paying Deshaun.
Right.
And I said, you realize Carolina is already offering 3 number ones and McCaffrey, who's playing at a higher level than Zeke is right now, right?
Yes.
Okay, but that's a desperation, and I feel it. I feel the pain of it because I don't know how to get out from under this because the blood is so bad between Jerry and Dak in his camp that we're just heading toward one more tag. That's what, if I had to bet on it right now, he's going to make $38 million, which is going to be the biggest chunk of anybody's salary cap for a quarterback in the NFL. It's a lot of money, and it's also clock ticking down on the end of Dak in Dallas.
Yes.
But I don't know how you... Like Jerry thinks he's not worth $42 million. That's what the problem. And the truth is, he's not worth it. As much as I love Dak, he's an edge of the top 10 quarterback. He's not better than Deshaun. He's just not.
No.
Do you think he is? No, you don't.
Skip, I do not think he's better, but that's not how free agency works. That's not how it works. You know what happens.
So you're saying you have to overpay for a quarterback that you might get strapped with, where you might go Jared Goff or Carson Wentz, where you'd say, wait a second, he's not worth nearly $43 million.
Skip, if you believe he was worth $38 million, why didn't you give it to him last year?
Well, you gave him, I thought it was 36-ish.
Okay,
Some people say 35. I don't know. Even you said, Shannon Sharpe, Hall of Famer, said, that's a fair offer on the table.
Skip, that was fair. But Dak saying, Skip, you have to understand, Carson Wentz and Jared Goff gave up a little money to get financial security long term. Dak says, y'all didn't do no deal with me with 2 years left. He said, y'all got me with the franchise tag. And now I broke my ankle. You want me to give you a discount when I realize how fragile my NFL mortality actually is? No, sir.
Okay. Well, are you sure his ankle isn't also fragile right now? Are we sure he's going to be 100% well going forward?
I tell you what you do, Skip Bayless. Don't put the tag on him, and then you won't have to worry about that. That'll be somebody else's problem.
Okay. Well, look, I would be fine with that if Jerry said, guess what I got hiding and waiting in the wings? I got the ace up my sleeve.
Okay.
And it's who? I don't know any. I don't have a who.
Well, you talking about you got ace up your sleeve. I need to know the ace.
Okay. Well, I do too, because I never said that Dak Prescott was a Hall of Famer. I never said that.
Right.
I said he can make some Pro Bowls and you can win Super Bowls with him because I love his leadership and I think he's clutch and I think he's a top 10-ish quarterback, but just the bottom side of the top 10.
Well, what type of ace do you have, though, Skip? It all depends on the game that you play. And if you play in spades, I got the ace of spades and you got the ace of diamond. Well, then, your diamond ain't no good.
It's no good.
Right.
But again, if you're going to have to pay him beyond Deshaun and close to Mahomes, I don't know if he can live up to that.
Skip, but you put yourself in that situation by not taking care. Skip, you know, all things being equal, I probably should have bought a house when I first moved to L.A. because you know what, Skip? The prices ain't coming down.
I thought the same thing. Why didn't I just go ahead and plunge the first day?
The first day.
Because I look at the same house, I said, well, I should have just bought it.
Should have just bought it.
Just closed my eyes and bought it.
And now, guess what? The price is through the roof. Like, damn.
Yep. Right.
So with that, you should have just bought it.
Okay, but they didn't, and now they're stuck.
You stuck.
Yeah, and now we're going to lose because of this situation.
You are going
and you're going to be happy because we are going to lose.
Well, not so much that you lose it.
Close.
No. You didn't care about my pain. When you came out here, you had Tom Brady jersey on for the whole show. You didn't care about the pain that I was in.
You know what? Tom Brady took so much out of you that I'm going to be happy for 2 more years on this show if the Dallas loses every game.
You will?
Yep. No. He loves Tom Brady, but them Cowboys losing. Boy, the Cowboys. What if the Cowboys go 4-12 again?
I think it's written all over 4-12. That's what happens.
Good thing for Skip, though. He has that Tom Brady jersey. It worked out just fine for him last season.
I'm going to get a new one next year, a white one.
A white one?
Home.
With the Super Bowl logo on it, Super Bowl patches.
Superstitious guy, I know.
No mercy.
Heisman winner DeVonta Smith is undersized when it comes to the receiver position at just over 6 feet and under 180 pounds. And one NFL meme account tweeted a photo of Smith standing on the sideline next to Tom Brady's infamous combine photo with the caption, quote, "These two dudes dominated the NFL and NCAA this season." These side-by-side photos, which don't exactly look physically impressive, have now gone viral. on social media. Shannon, do you see any similarities between these two overachievers?
No, because the guy on the right, DeVonta Smith, had arguably the greatest college season for a receiver in NCAA history. He's a Heisman Trophy winner, and every offensive award that you could win, he won it. You can make the case, Skip, and you know how the lineage of Alabama players, that he's the greatest college football player in Alabama's history. Tom Brady was not thought of as the greatest Michigan player when he left the University of Michigan.
No, couldn't even win the starting.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, we know what he became.
Yep.
But Tom Brady also plays the position that requires you to be the least athletic of all the skill positions on the football field. But he has something that's he has prototypical size, 6'4", 230, 235 pounds. So he's prototypical in that aspect. Yeah, DeVonta is slight build, but he has extremely long arms. He's technically sound. He's fundamentally sound. He can make tough contested catches, and he's tremendous run after the catch. So I get it, Skip, while you look at him, you're like, man, look at their bodies. But you walk around any locker room in the NFL, and you see any quarterback with his shirt off, and you're going to tell him to put his shirt back on because most of them look just like Tom Brady.
Except for maybe Cam. And I'm not even sure he would, like, really impress you.
Yeah. No, Cam ripped up.
Okay.
Cam really ripped up.
All right. So I do see this similarity that at their positions, their respective positions, they are overachieving like crazy given their physique, because Tom's physique was pretty awful at this point, even though he had been drafted by Montreal to play catcher, like a late-round drafter. Right. So he had some ability going on.
Right.
But in this body type, in this package, what this kid did to college football this year was extraordinary because he's slightly built. I think he plays strong, but he's 175 pounds. What if I told you 6'1", like 6'1"'s pretty tall for a receiver. But 175?
Right.
Really? And he looks like he's no more than 175.
But Skip, look at his hands. His arms come down below his knees.
They do. I agree. Not that far, but close enough. And yet his football speed is extreme. His quickness is extreme because I watched team after team try to triple cover him, and they could not stop him.
Of all the receivers that's come out of Alabama in, say, the last decade, he might run the slowest 40 time of all of them.
Do you think so? I don't know about that. But listen, game speed.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
It's off the charts.
I don't want you to run fast. I want you to play fast.
Yeah, play fast. But he's so slight that you think, well, how can you stand up to whatever punishment you do take? Well, he's like born strong. He's like they call country strong. He's from a small town, Louisiana, but he's got strength about him because he played stronger than he looks.
I'm telling you, the first time I saw him, and ever since I saw him, the first thing I think of is Marvin Harrison. Okay. He has a Marvin Harrison type body.
All right, but Marvin Harrison wasn't that tall.
No, Marvin wasn't that tall. But he got that same. Torrey Holt has that same kind of slender build. Tremendous route runners. He'll be just fine. Skip, but you look at Tom, Skip, like I said, the majority of the quarterbacks are built like Tom. They're not chiseled, and you don't have to be overly athletic to play that position. Okay. There have been very few guys that weren't athletic, so to speak, that can play wide receiver, that can play a skill position. Okay. Normally the skill position are the most athletic guys.
Okay, but Tom Brady never had the quickest feet. He had good pocket feet, and he never had... called him the greatest overachiever in the history of sports, given what he's achieved.
Let me ask you a question. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, Tom Brady, he has the same credentials coming out right now. He looks just like that right now. You think he's a first-round draft pick? You don't know what he's going to become. You're just looking at his body. You look at
now?
Yeah, you look at his...
Well, that's why he went in the 6th round.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
But he has the prototypical quarterback body, Skip. 6'4", 230-ish, 235.
Yep. And he did play one great game in his Orange Bowl against Alabama.
Yep.
That was big time. Right. I watched it, and I was like, hey, that kid can play.
And that probably got him drafted in the 6th round.
I agree.
No mercy.
This morning, Carson Wentz is reportedly on his way to join the Colts. The Eagles will receive a 2021 third-round pick and a conditional 2022 second-round pick in exchange for the QB. Wentz will be reunited with Colts head coach Frank Reich, who was Wentz's offensive coordinator for his first 2 seasons in Philly. Shannon, what's your initial reaction to the news?
Not surprised, but the price, Skip, they basically had to give him away. I mean, you think about Matthew Stafford went for 2 first-rounders. This kid is younger than Matthew.
By the way, Deshaun's going to go for like four.
Go for 3 first round and some players. Right. This kid went for a 3rd round pick and a conditional second if he plays 75% of the time he goes to
2 years away.
Right. Skip, this had to happen. And I told you this, Skip, when they benched him, I say somebody's got to go, and maybe both of them going to have to leave.
Both gone.
And they're both gone, so I'm not surprised by this.
Okay, so my reaction is I'm not a Wentz fan, but if he can revive his career anywhere, it's with that coach who was his coordinator, obviously, in Philadelphia, behind that offensive line, which might be the best in football. And that running game, which just is it's right up there at the top of the league. So when you got those components, you got a chance.
Right.
Ultimately, I believe even Frank Reich cannot win big with Carson Wentz. You call him walk it to him. I say give it to him or bounce it to him. I just have never trusted his package of intangibles, his leadership, his poise under fire. In this league, as good as the line might be and the run game might be, the receivers are average to me. But ultimately, the quarterback's going to have to make some big, key, crucial plays. And I don't think he's capable of doing that consistently.
Well, Skip, Pittman Jr. is going to be in his second year. Michael Pittman Jr. is going to be second year. Pretty good. They need to re-sign T.Y. Hilton. I like Pascal. They got some guys that can play. The one thing that he's going to have to guard against, because their defense is very good, don't turn it over.
Well, he ran away with the turnover championship last year. He also got sacked by far the most times. Maybe that will change. It'll change. But again, he loves to throw home runs. He hangs onto the ball, Maybe Frank Reich can get him out of that bad habit. Maybe a change of scenery will be best for him. Trust me, he could not have handpicked a better place to go. I think the Bears were somewhat interested, but it was reported that he didn't want to go to Chicago.
He didn't want to go to Chicago, Skip. And plus, the thing is, the Eagles were trying to hold out hope somebody go offer for 1st-round picks. They basically had to give him away, Skip. I mean, you think about it, Skip. This guy was just 5 years ago, was the 2nd player selected, and he went for a 3rd rounder and a 2nd rounder. Matthew Stafford was 12 years in Detroit, and you got 2 firsts. Deshaun Watson's going to go for 3 firsts and probably 2 starters. And Carson Wentz, they gave him away.
And now, no 1st-round pick since 2016 as a quarterback is still with his team. What's that tell you? It's hard to pick quarterbacks.
Except Dak. Dak is the only one that's still there.
But I mean 1st-round.
Oh, yeah, first. Yeah. Right. But is Dak going to be there?
For one more year, yes.
Nah, Dak
said
nah.
The end of that
Dak said, y'all need to give me a long-term deal. I want to walk.
Yeah. Well,
I love how
he's
you
now
just
by far the best quarterback in the East.
For Dak. That was some breaking news for us to end the show. We will react fully to the Carson Wentz news tomorrow morning. But, of course, Colin will have more with the herd starting right now. Have a great day, guys.